Courtland Simmons with you here at the CS Racing Report with a long overdue recap of the Belmont Stakes, won by TIZ the Law by 4 3/4 lengths over Dr. Post, who was a length and a half in front of Max Player, who was 2.5 lengths in front of Pneumatic, in a very snappy time of 146.53. When's the last time in a route race for 3-year-olds going 9 furlongs that you've seen a time in that 147, freaky 146 range, anywhere from the 146 to 148 range, as opposed to what we've seen the last 2-3 years, which is, or in the current, in the last number of years, where the times have averaged in the 149 to 152 range, which tells you that horses just aren't as brilliant going 9 furlongs or any route race, and that the distance is somewhat of a problem, even though track factors can come into play, but on average, the times have been slower. And this was the polar opposite, the way TIZ the Law basically did, as I described it, came out of the gate alertly, enhancing his stalk and pounce tactics, where he has that, beautiful speed to observe what's going on in front. He was alert, sat third all the way through there, exploded in the lane, drew clear. It was a very, very comprehensive performance by him at a distance that we knew he would like. So the mystery that you have going into the Kentucky Derby, or in a Belmont that should have been running 1 1/4 despite the gate being on the turn, is that there wasn't that mystique of what will he do at 1 1/4. We're going to find that out when he tackles his next target, which would be the Travers, the Midsummer Derby, according to his trainer. So we're going to find out on that surface how he'll do. We'll touch on that in a minute. Dr. Post had kind of the same trip, with the exception of being a bit on the outside. Finished very, very well, made his bid in the middle of the track, was second best, wasn't quite a match for the winner. Max Player, I thought his race was really, really good, arguably maybe as good as, probably better than Dr. Post, and just a notch below TIZ the Law. He saved the ground, was max 3 wide. It took him a while to get going. He was sitting far back there, but he picked up horses very well, drove really, really hard, made a strong bid. And I think if he doesn't bounce off of this after about a 140-plus day layoff, this should bode well for him going into these races if he decides to take on an event prior to the Travers, or the Travers itself in conjunction with TIZ the Law, and then subsequently the Kentucky Derby and the Preakness and so forth. But he looked good in this race and finishing third. Pneumatic had a good trip. He was on the inside all the way through there, ran on as hard as, much like the Matt Winn. He's a hard-running horse. He tries hard. Just got outrun, out-sprinted, out-footed a bit by the other 3, but a good race from him. Keeps him in the major race mix. So I think it was a good performance. Tap to win, and looking at the disappointments, it's apparent Tap to Win just, he set the pace, and he was clear for a second until TIZ the Law got his jaws on him and went right by him. Sole Volante was last. Made minimal movement all the way through there, did start to pick it up, but he was all the way back in the rear, somewhere in another part of town, away from the racetrack, and really wasn't a factor the way that people thought. Farmington Road was empty, showed nothing, but the disappointment of disappointments was Modernist. He was a horse that I had encouraged a lot of people to maybe plunk a few dollars on, and I'm basically disappointed for, and also feel bad for those who wagered or invested a penny, dollar, or dime on this horse, because he just didn't. He had a great trip, and if you saw him on the turn about 3 furlongs out on the inside, looked like he was going to make his run, and when he did, he got absolutely completely out-sprinted in the stretch, and all of a sudden he shut down. So again, he got exploited in a way in which, whether he couldn't handle the racetrack or he just simply got smoked in the stretch, which I think the latter is more true than the racetrack surface being a factor, or the layoff, which could be legitimate. He had his chance to make every run to make a race of this, and that just did not occur. So in conclusion, to TIZ the Law being as brilliant as he was at a distance that we knew he would like, on a racetrack that we knew he had shown an affinity for, winning the Champagne Stakes previously as a 2-year-old. Where do these other horses drop to? The prices are going to be healthy on Farmington Road, Modernist, Sole Volante, and Tap It to Win. There's no question about that. I think Pneumatic will be a decent price in the 10 to 20 to 1 range. The others may still get that support and be nearby, but I think their odds are definitely going to go up. There may be be some excuses built in to perhaps keep the odds at a minimum from inflating to incredible stock market, Wall Street prices. But I think Max Player's stock goes up a little bit. Dr. Post will definitely be a shorter price, even though I think Max Player arguably ran a better race. In the meantime, we know TIZ the Law, what his credentials are and what they will be going into the Travers. That racetrack surface, though, is going to be very interesting. How he gets over that in relation to how he performs at Saratoga, and then where he comes out on the other end in terms of his preparation for the Derby to keep his Triple Crown hopes alive. That is going to be something we will find out in the coming weeks, in the coming days, as we keep up with this on the CS Racing Report. Once again, TIZ the Law, the emphatic winner of the 152nd running of the Belmont Stakes in 146.53, beating Dr. Post by 4 3/4 lengths with Max Player third. TIZ the Law, trained by BARCLAY TAGG, ridden by Manny Franco, wins the 152nd running of the Belmont Stakes in 146.53.